Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Diabetes Tour Guide. My name is Andy, and I'm your tour guide. I've lived with type 1 diabetes for over 19 years, and I've worked as a physician assistant for over almost 5 years now. So I know a lot about medicine. I know even more about diabetes because I've lived it. And so today, I know a lot more, and I've also collected a lot more. So we're going to kind of go into a diabetes artifact extravaganza. Extravaganza might not be the right word. We're going to have fun today because I'm going to blindly go into the artifacts that I've collected over a long time of the different type 1 diabetes devices. This is almost like my device box or device bag. I think last week I described this as my Mary Poppins carpet bag. There's a lot of magic in here, a lot of spoonfuls of sugar, right? Yeah. So I'm going to blindly go in this, and this is a little bit of a detour from our normal episodes of explaining the ins and outs of diabetes, interviewing people who've lived with diabetes for a long time. Now, this is going to be a recurring theme too along of our detours to explain and to kind of see the process of how diabetes management has evolved. So I'm going to blindly go in and just kind of pick something. Okay, I got something good right here. And actually, I know what these are, and these go together. Oh, okay. This is actually newer. These are not old. So, this is something called Eversense. Eversense is a device from a company called Senseonics. Eversense is an implantable continuous glucose monitoring system. So whenever we do continuous glucose monitoring, which we'll go to a very detailed episode about what that means, it really just means you're checking your blood sugar every 5 minutes. There's a little electrode that sits under your skin. It's around the blood vessel and just always gives you readings coming right out of the blood vessel. So there's different devices. The big ones are going to be Freestyle, Dexcom, and then Eversense. Those are kind of the three big prescription ones. Eversense is implantable, so these are actually these are the devices for the insertion. So a patient actually would never have this, but providers will that do insertions, and I do insertions and removals in the office. So what happens is that you get this, and I've worn this before actually. It's pretty cool. So you numb a part of your arm, so upper part of your arm. There are different places you can put it, but really it's only indicated for the back of the arm. You're going to numb a little part of the arm, just local anesthetic, 1% lidocaine with or without epi or epinephrine. That just stops bleeding. We usually use 1% lidocaine. And you cut with a scalpel. You make a poke incision, so you get a little bit of an opening. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to slide this under the skin and it's almost like you make it flush with the skin. So you see how that's going to come down just a little bit right underneath the skin. It lays just like that. That's how far you're almost making a little tunnel. So you make the incision, push in, and you make a little tunnel right kind of in that fatty tissue, just like that. You go to those white marks and pull this out. This actually contains a sensor on the front of it. The sensor that would be inside someone, so I don't have an example of a sensor, but the sensor looks like a little pill. Sits on the top of this. You're going to actually slide this in that same little hole that you just made. Sorry, young Frankenstein. That same little hole you just made in that pathway, you're going to stick this thing in right underneath and slide, and it leaves the sensor underneath. So the sensor is what's going to test the blood sugar, and then there's a transmitter that goes on top of it. And the transmitter is somewhere in this carpet bag, so that'll be a future episode in this detour. But this, just know, is almost like a Nexplanon. If you've ever heard of Nexplanon or have one, it's an implantable birth control that kind of sits right here in the arm. It's basically you just slip it underneath the skin and it stays there. You could feel it. And right now, when it first started, it was a 3-month process. Every 3 months, you had to then numb it again, cut and remove it, and replace it in a different part of your arm or different part of your body. Now it's indicated in the United States for 6 months. In Europe, it should already have the year indication. So it's it's a good device, and we might even do device reviews in the future, particularly ones that I like. The thing I do like about this is that you can take the transmitter off, and it's like you don't have anything on your body. The bad part is that you have to have a cut. You have an incision, so that has to come back with steri strips or sometimes with sutures or like sewing, like a needle and thread. So it just depends on the patient whether or not that's something you want to go to. But I do like knowing options. I'm all about options as a provider. I'm even more about options as a patient. So these in our little carpet bag today is the insertion tools for Eversense. That's really, really cool. Guys, you don't see this every day. And so I'm glad we took this detour together. So join me next time because we are actually going to do a pump change. I'm due for a pump change, so I just thought, why not show it on our little podcast and YouTube show so you can see what it looks like. It's not going to be gruesome, so I'm not going to put a PG or PG-13 rating on it. It's pretty easy, and I'm going to go ahead and take off my other pump so that you can see what that looks like. Until then, stay educated, stay healthy, and join us next time on the Diabetes Pro Guide.